Hi, my name's Alistair Chapman, and in this video we're going to take a look at setting up the video overlays, the video outputs, and a couple of useful function buttons on this camera, Sony's PXW-FS7. One useful button to be aware of on the side of the camera is this one here, the display button. This button turns on and off the overlays in the viewfinder display. Pressing it once turns off all the overlays, making the viewfinder image much less cluttered. Pressing it again brings back the overlays, allowing you to see exactly what the camera is doing. Each of those individual overlay items can be turned on and off if you want more or less of them. To do that, we go to the camera menu. If you go to the VF page, which is where you'll find the majority of the viewfinder settings, you can go to the display on/off options and turn each of these overlay items on and off individually to make the viewfinder display less cluttered. If you ever need to quickly check exactly how the camera is set up, as well as the information around the edge of the viewfinder screen, you can also see how it's set up by pressing the status button here on the camera, and then using the cell and select wheel here to scroll through the different status pages. And the status pages will show you exactly how the camera is set up, and also gives you a much larger audio display for critical audio adjustments. The video page of the main menu is where we set how the camera outputs video over either the HDMI or HDSDI outputs. Now the camera has two HDSDI outputs and one HDMI output. The top connector here, HDSDI number 1, always gives a clean output. So when this is active, the output is always clean. That is, there are no text overlays or any other overlays over the picture. So if you're feeding an HD recorder, this is the output you would use. But do note that the HDSDIs are HD only. They will never output 4K. HDSDI number 2 can have overlays on or off, depending on how you set the menu in the camera. The HDMI output can output 4K, but if you're outputting 4K over the HDMI output, you can't also use the HDSDIs. Now, some of the output options do depend on the format that you're recording in. If you're recording in HD, then it is possible to have both an HD output on the HDMI and an HD output on the HDSDIs as well. If you're shooting in 4K, you can have either a 4K output on the HDMI with no output on the SDIs, or you can have HD over both the HDMI or HDSDIs. What you can't have is 4K on the HDMI with HD on the SDIs together. Now, with so many functions and features, the menu system on this camera is quite expansive. Now, one of the things that Sony have included on this is something called the user menu, and it's a great way to speed up getting to your favorite or most used menu items very quickly. And when you turn the camera on for the first time, when you press the menu button, the user menu is the first option you'll see at the top of the menu tree. You can add or remove items from the user menu to create your own menu that contains just the functions and features that you want that page to include. And it's very easy. To add or remove items from the user menu, you go to the user menu and scroll down to the Edit User Menu option. To move or delete an item that's already in the user menu, use the Edit page, select it, and then you can move it, delete it, or edit it. To add an item to the user menu, go to the Edit User Menu page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, where you'll find the Add Item option that allows you to add a wide range of options from the main menu to the user menu. Selecting Customize Reset returns the user menu to the factory defaults. Now, once you have your camera set up the way that you want it, you can save that setup using a feature called All File. All files are a great way to switch between different camera operating modes. By saving a camera setup for 4K and S-Log and another one for S and Q motion at 180 frames per second, simply by loading the appropriate All file, I can switch the camera between these two very different modes. To use the All file, you'll need to have an SD card inserted into the camera. The first thing that you do is give the file a name. You go to File ID and create a name for your All file. Use something memorable so that you can find it easily in the future. Once you've given your setup a name through File ID, go to Save to SD card, and this will allow you to save the file to the SD card. And you can save many All files to a single SD card and share them between cameras. To recall an All file in the future, go to the File menu again and go Load SD card. Then you will see a list of all the All files saved on the SD card. Simply choose the one you want and select it. It can take a few moments for the camera to reboot in some cases, but normally this is still quicker than having to go through all the menu settings again to set up the camera just the way you like it.